On this episode of Q Points, we welcome Idris Goodwin. Idris Goodwin is an award-winning creative driven by a passion for impactful storytelling. Currently serving as artistic director of Seattle Children's Theater, Idris writes, directs, programs, and/or produces relevant content for intergenerational audiences. Recognized as a culture bearer who celebrates community values and cultivates histories with care, Goodwin's impact spans generation and artistic mediums with well over 60 original plays produced coast to coast, from Oregon Shakespeare Festival to the John F. Kennedy Center. Several of these works are published, as are his forays into poetry and prose, including the collections Can I Kick It? And These Are the Breaks. HarperCollins Clarion released his first picture book, Your House Is Not Just a House. A performer and recording artist, he's created original video content for and/or appeared on Wondery, Nickelodeon, HBO, Def Poetry, Sesame Street, NPR, BBC Radio, and the Discovery Channel. Before stepping into his current tenure with SCT, Idris served as artistic director of Stage One Family Theater in Louisville, as well as executive director of the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, where he also taught as a professor in the Department of Theater and Dance. As a board president for Theater for Young Audiences USA, he is a champion for theater makers and institutions with a stated focus on cultivating the arts patrons of tomorrow. King of the Neuroverse, his first novel, will be released in 2025. We spoke to Idris in December 2024 as he was preparing for his newest play, Dr. Soto, to hit the stage. Dr. Soto opens at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta on January 18th and runs through March 2nd, 2025.
J-Ray, guess what?
What's up?
Today's queued up guest is no stranger to Q Points, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I got to experience his magic when I attended a magical production of his stage play, The Boy Who Kissed the Sky, here at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta about a year ago. And J-Ray, we also had the pleasure of interviewing the co-musical directors, Divinity Rocks and Eugene Russell IV, last year. And now, bringing it all back, we have the honor of speaking with an author, playwright, an MC. We're going to find out about that. I'm talking about none other than today's guest, Idris Goodwin. Welcome, Idris.
What's going on, y'all?
How you feeling today? I just want to do a quick check-in with you. How are you feeling? And you're in the moment right now of getting to play this new stage play that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, you're
in the midst of that. But how are you doing at this moment?
Oh, it's always good to be in Atlanta. I was, I grew up coming here a lot. I got hella family out here. I was actually just back here a couple weeks ago because Granny turned 100 years old.
Come on, Granny.
Yeah. So I'm very comfortable here. I'm very familiar here. Working at Alliance is always a treat. They treat me well here. I've had a few shows here before, like The Boy Who Kissed the Sky that you mentioned, as well as adaptation of Jason Reynolds' Ghosts as well. I've been here a lot of times for conferences and other things. So I'm doing quite well, man. And we're in the room where it happens. We're rehearsing, starting to kick the tires. I've been doing revisions. So yeah, just but a great reason to take a break to get to talk to you brothers about this piece.
Yeah,
I love it. I just also want to check in quickly with you. We can't get around it. We recently lost we now have a new ancestor, right? Yeah. Nikki Giovanni. Yeah. And as a playwright and author, what impact has her work had on you?
Well, listen, growing up, my mother used to play me the recording of her piece, Ego Tripping, or Ego Trip. I was born in the Congo, and I am in that lineage of griots, Black arts movement. I had the pleasure to actually curate an event that featured Nikki Giovanni back in the day at the Hot House in Chicago. And it was an amazing experience. I'll never forget it. I remember my mom and one of her homegirls drove all the way up from Detroit to see it because Nikki was always on our shelves growing up. So Nikki, Giovanni, Maya Angelou, like, we go down the line. So yeah, rest in poetry, Queen Nikki.
Yeah, indeed. Once again, thank you so much for the work that you do. I am curious, before we jump into this upcoming work for Dr. DeSoto, can we talk a bit about the importance of music for children? Because that's like a consistent thing that we see in your work, particularly your work for kids. Can you talk about the importance of that?
Oh, well, I mean, look, first and foremost, the first kind of writing I did as a young Thundercat was lyrics. I drew comics and I started writing lyrics to rap songs and whatnot. And that always spoke to me. I found out later that, and it's become a lifelong struggle with neurodivergency, ADHD, and it answered a lot of questions for me about challenges I had in school growing up with the written word. And some of this is the subject. I have a novel coming in 2025 called King of the Neuroverse, which it's fictional, but it's very much based on that challenge in that time in my life. But anyway, the music always gave me clarity. Very intuitively, I was wired in, and there was always music in our household. And the music, especially like, pre-internet, music, more particularly specifically Black music, it carried so much history in it. It carried so much in it. It was so jam-packed, much like our food. It has got layers and levels and richness to it because it's doing all this work. It's carrying the history, it's the word on the street, it's it's all of it, right? And it also is trying to make you move and feel good too, right? So it is ethos, pathos, and all of that, all the thoses in one. So for me, I think for the performing arts, for theater, it's storytelling, but it's live storytelling. And, or like, it's in the tradition of the Black church, like it's the living word. And it's a dialogue, like live presentation, live performance is a dialogue. I just watched the Jamie Foxx special last night, which was shot here in Atlanta, on the stage where Boy Who Kissed the Sky was also performed. So I was like, oh snap, I can say I've shared the stage with Jamie Foxx.
There you go.
Tell me I'm lying. But what I love about his performance is that, to me, it was like a revival. It's like he's doing testimony, he's doing songs, he's telling jokes. The audience is a scene partner with him, and to me, like, that is a distinctly, I think that is a very African thing, but it's definitely a Black American aesthetic. Like, that is how we get down. And so for me, my work as a playwright, it was like, cool, I'm gonna follow the fundamental tenets of Western drama, right, of narrative, but within there is room for me to sprinkle in or bring in any of the things I got in my toolbox, right? And so because I started with lyrics in the rap tradition, which is on the branch of the blues, which is, make it plain, as the pastor says, like make it plain, make it plain, make it memorable, make it funky. And so that is to me the role of, and listen, I approach plays or really any of the living word, the time-based word, I approach it like it's all music, it's all falling, it's all rhythmic, it's falling. Like, it's not behind you. It's not behind you, it's not in front of you, it's just right here in front of you. It's just now. It's on, and if it's on the one, it's gonna make the body react and do something as well. So to me, I always jokingly say I don't write musicals, I just write musical plays. But It really is like but that's just how I exist in the world, man. Like it's always, the music is always there. I'm always listening to it. I'm always, it's always, that's how I approach a lot of things.
So tell us about Dr. DeSoto, opening January 18th here at the Hertz stage at the Alliance Theater. And I know this is a kid's play, like for starting for 6 and up, but what can adults learn from this production of Dr. DeSoto?
That's a great question. So Dr. DeSoto is a book I loved when I was a kid. It's picture books by William Steig. William Steig's biggest claim to fame is he wrote the book that the Shrek series is based on. So, but he's got a whole body of picture books. And I consider him, he's like kind of more of a contemporary, like Grimm's Brothers kind of vibe, where it's like he's not afraid to put his heroes in real danger and peril. And there's always like, they're not like super, out there like that, but like he wouldn't, you'll see, you'll just see what I mean. So, but he reminds me also of like Aesop as well. So like, animals like predators and prey interacting, that kind of thing. So Dr. DeSoto is about a husband and wife team. They run a dental office, and because they're mice, they can climb inside the mouths of larger animals and do a really good job, intricate job cleaning their teeth. And they're the best. Everybody loves the DeSotos. But they have a sign that says, no, we will not treat any carnivores. So like if you out in these streets gobbling up smaller mammals,
right?
Don't come over here.
Yeah, take it down the road. And one day a fox shows up, in just pain, just whimpering, just a mess. And they take sympathy on this fox, and they say, "Come on up here, come on." And they say, "You got a rotten bicuspid," and so they put the fox under. And when the fox is under, it's like muttering to itself, like, "Yeah, but they're gonna be delicious, right?" And so Dr. DeSoto and his wife are in a conundrum now, right? Because they have this motto: when they start a job, they finish it. So they pull the tooth out, but then the fox got to come back to get the new tooth put in. Okay. And so they're like, what are we going to do? Like, on one hand, he was under, we may not have heard what we heard. Seems like a nice enough fox, certainly well-dressed, So what is we to do? Right. Do we turn this fox away in the middle of this job just because of our fear? Or do we figure out how we can have it both ways, so to speak? So it's a very simple, lovely, straightforward story in its printed form. And I think what I responded to as a kid was just like the simplicity of that. Like, it's like the small and the large. But to now get very eggheady about it, what it's ultimately about is something that is very real, that we as adults deal with all the time too, which is like these tough calls when our values collide with our needs to survive, or our fears, really, if we're keeping it a buck, right? It's like, what is good sense versus what's right. It's about those complications. And I think that is 100% what I think the role of theater is in the lives of young people, is to show them choices, and to show them difficult choices that different kinds of characters approach, good, bad, or otherwise. And those are the tools for life. It's like, you will have a choice. You will need to make a choice. And whether you make the right one or the wrong one, you then have to deal with the the aftermath of those choices, good, bad, or otherwise, right? So you're constantly making choices. On another level, though, what was really appealing to me as a theater maker and a theater person was, in the book, you see they play with scale. And so in the opening pages of the book, it's like everybody was rocking with the DeSotos, like other mice and gophers and other small mammals, but like the hooved community was rocking with them big time. So like there's a image of Dr. DeSoto's wife like cranking him up on this pulley to like be in the inside of this mule's mouth, like this big old mule, this big old cow with the mouth open, and I'm like, wow, like how do you do that on stage? How do you do scale on stage, right? Like how do you play with, you know, these perceptions of big and small on stage? So that is like the genesis. And so, you know, I like to think of myself as writing for multi-generational audiences because kids don't come to the theater by themselves typically.
Well,
yes. So as a, you know, and I'm a parent too, and like I want to, you know, like don't forget about me. Like I want to have a good time too, because the fundamentals of good storytelling are age. That doesn't matter what age you are. Like, you know, Kung Fu Panda 4 was fire. You know, my wife and I used to go on dates and see Pixar movies before we even had children. So like good stories are good stories, and it really doesn't matter. It's a very human thing to like identify with another human being. So what we're making right now, and shout out director Mark Valdez and Chris Moses and Tinashe for you know, our wonderful artistic directors at Alliance, all the support. We've got a huge team. It's going to be a really cool feast of cool costumes, puppetry, shadow puppetry, you know, lights inside, you know, and we're going to be in the Hertz stage is a very intimate space. And so we're going to play with this piece about creatures big and small in a really tight space. So it's really about theatricality, which is the other thing I love. I love showing people, especially in this increasingly digital world, that, you know, you can do sleights of hands and tricks and play. You can do it in very simple ways. You know, shadow puppetry I love because it's just light. It's just light and you know, it's yin and yang. You know what I'm saying? It's just light and darkness and just playing with that. So anyway, so yeah, it's got something for everybody. It's fun. It's silly. There's a lot of like rhyming and music in it, inevitably, just because why not? And the one change I did from the book is I added, and not the one change, I would say the most significant change is that in the book it's just Dr. and Mrs. DeSoto. In my jam, there's young DeSoto, the child who is like grows up in this family business and is almost like a young apprentice and of course is ready to go. It's like I'm 10, I'm double digits. Like let me get in here.
Get up in that cow's mouth. And
yeah, I can get this bicuspid out, you know. And Pops is like,
chill, slow down,
calmate. You know what I'm saying? And so it's also about that too, about, you know, young DeSoto makes these choices that put the whole family and the business at risk too. So it is also about that too. It's like having to face the music and when your ambition gets, you know, whatever. So anyway, it's a good time. We'll get you in and out in an hour or so.
Man, listen, I actually, hopefully I will be in Atlanta during the dates of this performance. I think I will. So I'm looking forward to taking this in. But you actually were talking about this in your answer. You were talking about all the people that are working with you to like in the theater to bring this thing to life, right? Yeah. Because one of the things I was talking to Sir Daniel about was the thing that really stood out to me, and it feels just very Black, is community taking care of each other, right? So the Dr. DeSoto and his wife are like members of this community, and there's all of these people, right, that are all of these animals that are different from them in the community that they are also choosing to take care of. And I just wanted to get you to wax poetic a bit about the importance of community in your work, like you like displaying that in the work, because we could see that as well in the Boy Who Kissed the Sky too.
Yeah, of course.
Of that interplay.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a thing that was just ingrained in me a little bit about being of service and being like, you know, what and a thing around like, you know, so Boy Who Kissed the Sky is very much inspired by the Jimi Hendrix story, right?
Yes.
I have another play called And in This Corner Cassius Clay, which is about Muhammad Ali's young life in Louisville, Kentucky. And so there's this interest I have in these stories about these great people, these icons. At Seattle Children's Theater, we're producing, I'm not writing this one, but I'm producing it. We're doing a story about Bruce Lee's years in Seattle. Wow. He was there a relative short amount of time, but he's buried there now, as is his son. And most people know that story or why. People assume he's buried in Hollywood or Hong Kong, but there was this really interesting time in his life when he was like about to start college and everything. So there's something about and for me in these kinds of stories, I often look to who were the mentors, who were the people in their community, who were their friends.
Yeah.
Right. And it's about how these people influence them and shape the thing we know. So we already know, we see these people on the posters and in the documentaries. We know Muhammad Ali is the greatest, and Rumble in the Jungle, and what is it, conscientious objector. We know about all that, right? But not a lot of people know at what age he started boxing and why. And that he was fighting on local TV at age 12, and that he had two trainers. He had a white trainer and a black trainer. We don't know this stuff. And so again, it is about the way that community influences and shapes us, especially when we're young, and often present us with those, as I talked about before, those choices.
Yes.
Right. They influence our choices. They activate our choices. They pick us up when we make a choice that knocks us down, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then also to take it further, theater in and of itself for me is about, I'm writing something that's going to gather people. And I'm very conscious of that I'm writing, not only gathering a creative team, actors, designers, whatever, but then gathering an audience as well. And we're going to go on this journey together and have this conversation together. So I think, intuitively, perhaps I am in the case of DeSoto. It's ironic you say that, because I think the theater writer / producer in me was like, oh, this is actually a very small, like it's Dr. and Mrs. DeSoto and then the Fox. I was like, that's pretty small. And they're mostly in this one space, right?
Right.
But as we've evolved it, it has become about how they engage with other members of the animal world, right?
Yeah.
And how important that is. So even inevitably, these other, the lens widens, right? Yeah.
Idris Goodwin, thank you so much, brother, for the work that you are doing. The ability to just kind of spark imagination, as we get older, right? As adults, we grow up and our imagination gets just like life hammers that thing out of us. But you are doing the work to remind adults about the importance of imagination and to spark children's imagination. So we all are ready for Dr. DeSoto, sir. So thank you so much for joining us here at Q Points and doing your work, man. This is dope.
So much. My honor. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Very well.
Like I always say, in this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
My name is J Ray, y'all.
And this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace, y'all.